Well, hello there. Just in time for the holidays, I will be quilting one of my favorite Christmas table runners. I'm so excited today. My sister Arlene Jones pieced this little Christmas table runner for me, and I am getting it done before Christmas. It is 8-sided, and so I had to load it a different way, and I wanted to show you that because I usually pin both the top and the bottom on. But this one I just laid on. I loaded my lining and my batting, and then I just laid this one on because it's so odd shaped and small. So all the way down I've been able to just use my pins to give the top a little bit of tension. And then I have been stitching in the ditch around between the body of the table runner and the border. And this wonderful little folded piece of fabric can really cause problems. So I am making sure that I really get good in there and stitching in the ditch. And then I will stitch in the ditch around the tree. So I'll show you how I do that, and then we'll complete the border design. And I'm using metallic thread, gold metallic thread. When I ended, I had a little piece of thread there that I left so that I would know exactly where I was when I left off before I rolled the quilt. I'm taking some little stitches, and then I will use my ruler like that so that I can come down and stay right in that ditch. If I get out of ditch a tiny, tiny stitch or two, I'm okay, but you need to stop and get back in the ditch if that happens. Don't stay very long out of the ditch. It goes pretty fast. I am using 18 stitches to the inch, so it's a little bit finer stitch, just because this is really kind of a funny little ditch here. It goes very well though. As I come to the end, I can see exactly where I need to be because I left some little tails there, and I will just stitch about 1/4 of an inch beyond that point and then cut my thread. Once I've completed that, I do need to stitch around the outer edge of the wall hanging, and I can decrease my stitch length there. So this is about 8 stitches to the inch. You could also just base this if you wanted to. This will allow me to move my pins out of the way. And making sure that I'm staying less than 1/4 of an inch away so that when I bind it, I will be able to cover that stitching. And I think on this diagonal, I will even use my ruler because it's so much faster. It's hard to stitch a diagonal freehand on the machine and get it really straight. Now that I have both of those edges secured, I can go ahead and show you the border design that I'm doing, and I'm so pleased with it. I am going to go into constant now because I want to sew a little faster. When I was doing this edge, and I'm going to put a pin here in the middle right there, and you could measure that, but I can see where my point is. I've got to make sure that I pay attention to that. As I was coming down, I did 1/4 inch C's, and I came a little further than the corner. So as I start here, I will go a little further over into that edge. And what I will have on those corners is almost a cross-hatching effect. Now I'm in constant, and I'm just moving the machine at a constant speed. And I have a lot of viewers who ask why I stitch in constant sometimes and regulated other times. And I think I just like the feel of the machine in constant, oftentimes, especially when I'm doing something like this. It just feels so natural to me. So I hope you'll try it. If you've only been in regulated, you should try constant. And I'm just keeping this about 1/4 of an inch apart. Nothing is marked, and you can see I'm starting to get close to where that pin is. That pin indicates the middle of this particular side. So I'm going to stop out here and I can move the pin out of the way because I know I'm into the middle now. And so now I'm going to make kind of an elliptical shape and then come back inside a pinwheel. And that changed the direction for me. So now I'm headed the other direction. This is just too fun. I love the texture that this particular design creates. And it's very pretty with this metallic thread on this gold fabric. But this border design also makes a wonderful texture even in a busy border. So if you have a very busy border that you don't think many designs would show up, this is the one to choose. And look how fast it goes even when it's quite dense quilting. And then again for this corner, you see I would come, keep going, don't stop just because you're at the corner, keep going, clear over, and maybe one more time this way, one more time this way. Now here I can switch and I'm going the other direction now, and you can see how that cross-hatching effect is taking place. And so I will just continue with this and go right over and finish the other two sides so that my border design will all be stitched in. This is how I like to stabilize the quilts, and I don't have to worry when I stitch on the inside of the quilt. I won't have any ruffled borders. The border design will already be set in. I just completed the stitch in the ditch as I was coming down around these blocks, and I wanted to show you what I am doing around the tree. I'm doing snowflakes and loops. And I'm not doing really heavy quilting through here. It's I don't need to do heavy quilting on it. It's just a wall hanging from my table. Now as I come to the tree, then I am going to do stitch in the ditch around the tree. I'm going to try to do everything I can in this block while I'm in this block. You can see I can just move over like that, then I use my ruler to come over like that. It's so easy, but it defines the tree. And I really think it's necessary to stitch in the ditch around that tree. So as I come around like that, now when I get up to the star, I will outline the star like that. And now I'm going to go into my constant mode, and I'm going to do shorts and longs around the star. And when I'm in the inside point of the star, I will make sure that those lines are straight. You see there's the outside, I'm making sure I'm straight on the outside. As I come around, there's the inside point, so I'm coming straight out from that, up to the top. So they fan out as you go around. There I am, straight out from the inside point of the star, and then the outside point of the star. That looks so cool with this metallic thread. I love it. So we've got that completed. Now I'm back in my regulated mode and coming back here with my stitch in the ditch around the tree. Just look how fast I can do this tree. And the trunk as well. And that's right where I started, so I can just take off again and do my snowflakes and my loops. Now, while I am right here on the tree design, I'm going to get some ideas because I'm brain dead most of the time. And so I can just flip to an idea in here. This is LT's Trees and Other Things, which I wrote. Let's just open one. I love that tree. Let's just do that one. That one is just crescents and swirls. So all I have to do is come over here like this, and I'll just do crescents and swirls. Actually, it's just crescents there. But I think I'll put a few little swirls in here too, just to make it interesting. all the way up to the top, finish that, and come back down. And as I complete this, I will show you the rest of the designs that I'm going to be doing on those trees. But after we finish this block, we're ready to move on to the plain blocks. This will also be a good time for me to stitch between the trunk and the tree. There we go. It's been a long time since I just did one of my regular feather medallions. We do so many fancy things that sometimes we forget the simple things. And I have just pinned this little folded fabric out of the way so that I won't be stitching on it. And it's easy for me to see how to come down here to the center. I'll just kind of draw a center line there. By the way, a microcloth takes this chalk off very well. I have a circle here, and it has a scored line on it, and I'm going to go and stitch some just some teardrops there, so I want to know how far up to come. This is just one of my regular medallions that I've done for years and years, but I am going to vary it a little bit. First of all, I will put in the teardrop and the teardrop like that, and now I'm going to come through and put some points on that like this, and the one in the middle is going to come out about an inch from the edge of my triangle. All I have to do is be consistent with whatever I'm doing because it's all freehand. Same thing on this one. Just come out here with some points like this. You're going to be so surprised how fast this whole design will be set into this triangle. And it's gorgeous with this thread. Now at this point, I am going to go into constant, and I'm going to put my feather right here. And that is far enough up there. And I'll just come back here like this. Come over here and put this one on this side. Just sort of think of a half a heart if you haven't done feathers before. Just round and follow through. And then I will come up that line and do a teardrop like that, and round and follow through. Round, follow through. Round, follow through. And that was very close to those spikes, and I did that on purpose. I really want it to be close. I don't want to have to come in between the feather and the spikes, because as I come back down now, I'm going to come over here again, and I will separate the design element and the outer edge, because I want to do a neat meandering out there. But I'm going to separate it first with an echo all the way around. Like that. And just follow the lines that you have. This is cool. I love this. Okay, and in this corner, I will start like this with this patterned meandering. And now you can see that I am perpendicular to the edge of the block using this pattern meandering. And it is probably not quite 1/4 of an inch apart, but it's not an 1/8. So it's in between there. Come right down to my design and right out to the edge. To the design, out to the edge. To the design, out to the edge. Keeping it very perpendicular to the outer block edge. The only tricky part is when I come up to the top of the feather, I will need to fan this design around that. It's also easier, it looks easier than it is because you have to keep it very straight. See, I'm doing very, very vertical right now. And right now I'm going to start fanning it out so that in the very corner you see how I fan that around the corner. And now I'm doing horizontal, just back and forth, keeping my spacing the same. making sure I go over to the design and over to the edge. This is putting down really very quickly, and meandering here that pops the design right out of the quilt. It looks organized, it's fast to do, and I find it's much faster than just your regular stipple or any of the other designs that you might choose. And I like the way it looks. It just really is a classy look. And here again, I'm fanning toward the corner like that, and I'm done. And I finished right underneath that little lip, and then I can just take my pins out, cut my thread, and we can look at that design. Well, I hope I've given you some ideas today that you can use on some of the quilts that you are doing, and I'm going to complete this and then we'll take a look at it.